but I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
Welcome back. It's your boy, DJ Seed Popper, and you're live on the Seed Hour. Today we have Mr. Neptune in the building.
Hello.
And Mr. West Coast Connoisseurs.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And today's subject, y'all, we want to know more about these breeders. Like, how do you guys go about selecting phenotypes and breeders?
So I think you would be the perfect person to start this question.
How do I go about selecting breeders on Neptune Seed Bank? Oh man, that's a $1 million question. Literally, that is $1 million question. No, if you're a good breeder, I'll find you. Is what that comes out to be. I mean, if we're watching everybody, and then we have guys who have their finger on the pulse, like guys like West Coast Connoisseurs. Always flipping packs, super big brokers, and it's like, if this specific breeder, this specific guy is doing an amazing job, then it's like, well, maybe we'll talk to you. Lit Farms, perfect example. Lit Farms, guy has another business that is really heavily involved in cultivation, and the guy spent a lot of money on a lot of really, 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 really good genetics, and started in-crossing them himself, and then a seed company was born, and the guy does amazing work.
Yeah, I think the root of how to choose those are two really different questions: how to choose a phenotype and how to choose a breeder.
Yeah.
The breeder question, I think the short answer is testing.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what you think you've come up with, it has to be tested.
Yeah.
And if it's not tested, it's just not going to work in our markets. I mean, there's rare instances where it can happen, but testing is the root of everything when selecting breeders.
Okay.
Photos.
Oh man, there's so many things to do. Yeah. First of all, high quality photos. Learn to use buy a camera, a real camera, a high quality camera. Spend a few hours on YouTube. Learn how to use it. iPhone photos, Android photos, do not cut it on websites. It's great for Instagram, but that does not translate to websites. So one of the reasons why in-house genetics does so well is because he knows how to use a high-quality camera. He takes good photos, and
For sure.
That way his stuff is always showcased the best. Also, testing. High-quality testers that take good notes, that can give you good feedback on your plants. And if you're a good breeder and it's not hitting, you don't go. A lot of people, look, a lot of breeders will just release shit because they worked on it, and even though it's not that great, it's not a good idea. Then there's a lot of breeders that are great. A couple coming to my mind, off top, Humboldt Seed Organization, Pacific Northwest Roots, that will test. And
anybody who follows those guys on Instagram is aware those guys do a ton of testing to maximize their opportunity to see their gene pool.
Well, I know. I'm very close to the Humboldt Seed Organization guys. We go back years and years and years. And not only do they test, they legitimately test worldwide. Good topography, Spain, France, obviously all over the USA. They test, and they've thrown out tons of shit, where people say, why don't you guys drop so much? It's like, well, man, it's because it's not hitting the boxes, because they want to make sure that when you buy it, there's a 90% rebuy rate.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to sales at a retail level and a seed level.
No, but that I might quibble with you about that, actually, because people right now, I would say, have foregone a lot of the traditional breeding practices of working lines to jump on the hot shit. Right now, for example, what is today? Today is July 2nd?
Yeah.
In 2019, and all the talk on the street is runts. Runts. Where can
Runts
I get
your
the
life
runts?
up, man.
Oh God, but it's like it's that slippery slope. Customers want runts. You're a breeder, so you want to provide what the customers want. But it's also you, as a breeder, also need to work your specific lines that make you who you are. You know, it takes balls. It takes balls to work your lines these days.
Totally.
You know, it takes
especially
balls.
with how fast things move.
Yep.
You know, GMO can be in play for 6 months and then gone tomorrow.
And then how geographic things are. GMO right now, you know.
Right, you can't sell it in
GMO.
Michigan.
I fuck with I love GMO. You gave me a couple ounces of GMO. I'd be smoking that and only that the last few weeks.
Right.
But yeah, Michigan.
Yeah, you can't sell it. It's totally oversupplied.
Purples, you know what I'm saying? Up north, purples is crazy. Try to sell purples in Texas. People will whip your ass. You pull out purples in Texas. You know? This is how it is.
Yeah, I mean, so ultimately, you know, when we're talking about how we select breeders, the quality of the product is the big thing that Neptune and I are looking for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Does it yield inside? Does it yield outside? Does it smell good? Is it going to work in diverse environments? Like, it's a lot like Congress. You need to be representative of everyone.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, also choosing breeders, it also comes down to a lot of, like, to be honest, is your personality as well.
Absolutely.
You could be an amazing breeder and do a lot of good works, but you could also be a douchebag. And I won't fuck with you. On some real shit. Like, I'm cool.
Oh, I tell people all the time, personality in this industry, some of the easiest breeders to work with are just down-to-earth people who, you know, they aren't this perception that we've constantly had of cannabis growers where they're, you know, some scary drug dealer boogeyman.
Right.
They're actually really cool people.
Yeah, they're very
9
mellow.
times out of 10.
Yeah, you're not going to see too many, like, scary weed breeders, that's for sure. But you will see a lot of guys now whose egos are very inflated.
Absolutely.
And they, you know, they think they're bad, you know, and it's like, I don't know about you.
A lot of the breeders, and I think we talk about this analogy a lot, they're a lot like athletes.
Yeah, for sure.
And in terms of their popularity in the space, and on top of that, the way they're going to be getting paid in the future, it looks a lot like athletes.
Yeah.
They're going to be kind of free agents moving from state to state who... at the end of the day, aren't going to be loyal to anyone but whoever's, you know, helping them advance their brand the best.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
There's obviously more. That's a big thing to unpack.
That's a very big brush, big paintbrush.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, yeah, essentially chunked up or down. It's. I think you're right. It's gonna be basically that. But I mean, I think. Another thing in terms of choosing breeders is how good your customer service is, especially not to your bank, but not to the just the seed banks you work with, but to your customers. You know, if you're constantly arguing on Instagram or telling people they're stupid, they don't know what they're doing, man, like it's a bad look.
And with our industry coming out of the dark and into the light, it's one of those things that we hear about all the time. People who don't know how to provide the proper customer service or even just talk to customers in a respectful manner.
Yeah, and I'm actually a victim of that. But sometimes a customer will hit me at the wrong time, and they'll get it, and I'll look later and be like, oh man, I probably shouldn't have done that. But as long as you're cool with customers, and there's a customer complaint, like a lot of times that's an opportunity to make somebody happy, and honestly, if they're complaining about the seeds, just give them another pack.
Right.
Like, if they had germination issues, fine, sure. But then again, see, people take advantage of that, right?
Absolutely.
Like one of the reasons that I know in-house, this man sells thousands of packs, and even at a 1% rate, you're still talking about hundreds of people that he needs to replace packs to. And he just doesn't want to do that because a lot of times people are real rude to him about it. So it's like...
It's definitely a real thing. It actually drove OBS off social media temporarily. But I think we're getting a little off here and talking
as we do.
Oh yeah, I know we're good at that. But into selecting phenotypes was the question, and in selecting phenotypes, that I would say for a lot of us is the most fun part of the process.
Yeah, sure.
And it's because you've gone through the 6-month process from seed to finished flower, and you're now looking at all these individual phenotypes in the last week of flower and whether they yield well, don't yield well, smell good, don't smell good. You're coming down to the finished part of the process where you're either going to start deciding, hey, I have something to work with here or not. And I think the first thing that we all look in selecting a phenotype is nose. And I think you're just never, if something doesn't have nose, you're never going to get past that.
No.
Structure, yield, everything else be damned.
Yeah.
If there's no nose, it's just not going to pass.
No, exactly.
It's
called boof.
Yeah, exactly. You see all the time breeders. I have breeders who will tell me, like, hey, I don't care about the structure or the yield. It's something I'm willing to work with if the profile's unique. And conversely, you don't really hear that about yield, and you don't hear that about structure necessarily as much either.
Yeah.
And so, I would say nose is number one, and structure and growth are number two for selecting.
Well, I mean, what about guys like Umami, where it's flavor over everything?
And
he'll forego
the
everything
flavor
else.
And nose kind of translate together in those things.
And he's, the thing about him is he's really good about that, about doing proper pheno hunts, big pheno hunts to find the right things. But yeah, you're right. He'll forego yield and smell if he's got a slightly smaller yield, but just a much more pronounced smell. He'll take that.
Exactly, because we know that we can work yields back into the plant.
Right, you can always work that line.
You can always work that line back into the plant. What's always really unique is, unique nose will take you a long way, especially at the retail level.
Yeah, it's got to be at the retail level.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It all comes, especially with pheno hunting, it all comes down to what is it like at the retail level. And so the last thing, but also some people would argue is the most important, but you never even get to the step if it doesn't have good nose, is how does it smoke? Because I think anybody who's done a lot of pheno hunting is privileged enough to do it, has looked at it and said, man, some of these samples may look good and smell good, but they just don't smoke that good.
We do that shit all the time.
Exactly. And it's just a disservice to anyone once that pheno's getting passed up and cloned if it didn't taste good.
Yeah, but you know what?
But it does get overlooked the most of anything, too, because a good look, a good smell, people will forego the taste.
Absolutely. We should continue this in the next episode because we can go really deep into this, and I know we're running out of time right now. So let's do that. Let's do the next episode after this.
While I'm driving through Cali to get some ganja for my phone, so my high will last real long.
I know this, but I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
That's right, folks. It's your boy, the Seed Popper, DJ Seed Popper. We are back. Neptune Seed Bank, West Coast Connoisseurs, talking about genetics and shit. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Let's get it.
Let's do it. So I think where we left off was talking about some of our favorite breeders and phenotypes and where to, how to choose them and where to go to choose them. So I think where I'm just going to start rattling some stuff off is some of the breeders who you and I see overtaking the industry right now. And I think we both kind of came up with some lists before we got on here of some of our favorite breeders and what some of their favorite strains that they've released over the last 2 years are. So
Sure.
I figure I'd let you take it away with maybe your top 5 to start, and then I'll follow.
Top 5 breeders? Sure. Easy. Well, I mean, I guess it's actually not really that easy because really, what are you talking about, in terms of like flavor, taste, overall yield, overall
I would just
take over the
say
industry?
everybody's top 5 is going to be different, so keep it personal
Sure.
to yourself.
Okay, personally, so I'm going to just say Sea Junkie for sure with a bullet number 1 because
I think a lot of people in the industry are just at that point with JB. He's just an absolute rock star.
Well,
there's no other way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you and I, we live in Southern California in the Los Angeles area, and you can't walk into any dispensary in LA or a suburb of LA or in Orange County or in San Diego and not see 90% of the shit in the store being
touched
sea
by
junkie,
him in some kind of way.
Yeah, even if it's not, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Even if it's like
I understand.
some fucking outdoor booth, it's still like, oh, this is wedding cake.
Yeah,
It's like, man, that shit ain't wedding cake. Fuck you, man. You know what I mean? But you still see wedding cake, Cushman's, ice cream cake, Sunset Sherbet, blah, blah, blah. All his stuff, or actually, he didn't do Sunset Sherbet, but I mean, like his Sunset Sherbet BX, or everything in there, 90% of stuff in there is there. And also, remember, I talked to tons of facilities that grow because we do consulting for them. And 90% of the stuff in the facilities is Sea Junkie. So he is by far one of my favorites because I can't escape his weed even if I tried.
right.
Love
yeah.
you, Beezy.
There's I think for me, I'm just gonna run down my top 5
Sure.
really quick. And I think a lot of people have the same number 1 being Sea Junkie. So I'm just gonna forego my number 1 and start with Exotic Genetics. Number 2, 3, I'm going to go with In-House. 4, I'm going to go with Grandiflora Genetics. And 5, I'm going to go with Raw Genetics.
Raw's good, man. Raw does a lot of good work.
Definitely more under the radar in terms of people who have heard of him and publicity and attention, but everything is coming out A+ flower for us at least, and I don't want to speak for everybody else's experience and their conditions, but we've had a lot of success with his gear.
People sleep on Raw. There's a few really, 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 really good breeders that people sleep on because people will generally go to Sea Junkie because a lot of people are in facilities and they want to make sure they guarantee their money, which is fine. But there's a lot of
At
breeders.
the end of the day, that's what it's about now.
Yeah, people vote with their wallet. The consumer votes with their wallet. That's how you know. But there's a lot of people that I think are coming up now that are going to be rock stars later on. Umami. I always go back to him. His stuff is fire. Raw, for sure. Raw. Secret Society, bro. His titty sprinkles is next level, dude.
Yep, that's getting a lot of hype around the industry right now.
Then you got some of the older heads. I don't even want to say older heads, but I mean like guys that have been around longer. Capillator, obviously. I was buying Mac from his dispensary for a while. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a couple of us
that.
are 3-4 years deep on that now.
Yeah, Canorado. You just showed me some Canorado today, though.
Yeah.
So this is out of control.
Man, and Canorado didn't even scratch my top 5 there, which is just it's like I tell people, like, building your top 5 breeder list.
Fucking Alien Labs, bro. Alien Labs, fire.
Yeah, building your top 5 breeder list is a lot like building your top 5 NBA players of all time.
Yeah.
It's just, you're gonna leave someone out. Someone's gonna feel shorted, but everybody that you left in there does a good job at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that it had to be divided into categories. Top 5 breeders who do gas, top 5 breeders who do terps, top 5 breeders. You know what I mean? Because it's just, you just can't. There's so many guys right now, and I guess it's a testament to a lot of people really coming out there and putting themselves out there that are doing amazing shit. Really, really amazing. Look at Oni, man. Oni released
with Papaya. They made their own wave with that.
Dude, he just released the Trop. The Trop Punch 6 BX.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Fucking off the chain.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's like why do we go after these breeders in particular? And what it all comes down to is when we hunt seeds and we find unique phenotypes, we get a higher per price pound value.
Sure.
And what this is achieving for us is there are certain buyers, and every buyer is going to be different. But ultimately, what we're looking for is what's considered exotic smoke. Some kind of gas with flavor, some kind of cookies with flavor, some kind of chem with flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Any combination of those is what these purchasing managers really look for at the end of the day, because those are what move. They don't have to sell them. They sell themselves.
Right. It's not Blue Dream.
Exactly.
It's not OG.
There's 8 brands with Blue Dream coming to you every day. There's 8 brands with OG coming to you every day.
Right.
And what these unique phenotypes do is they allow you to be different. They allow your brand to be different. They allow everything to be different. At the end of the day, I equate a lot like why phenotypes are so valuable is a lot like the brands for, let's just take oats, for example. General Mills owns Quaker.
Right.
But General Mills does not own the wheat. They do not own the processing.
Oh, it's Monsanto.
Right, exactly. And so they don't own any of that. But in this industry, it's going to be much more vertically integrated. And so if you've got a bunch of, let's say, oat companies just like Cannabis on the same shelf, you have to differentiate your brand. Because what do we know about all these suits? The end goal is exit strategy, exit strategy, exit strategy,
Yeah.
exit strategy, exit
And
strategy.
they just want to slap dog shit in pretty packaging and sell it.
And so the best way to differentiate your brand at that point is to have unique phenotypes that these other places don't have. So, over the last year, I go through, personally, hundreds of phenotypes a month I see. I know that I'm on the rare end of exposure compared to most people who only get to see a couple of phenotypes a month.
Yeah, you're definitely in that top percentile where that just because you but again proofs of the
But it's
pudding.
because I work with a lot of people.
And you do good business.
Those are the crux of everything, though, regardless of what industry you're in.
Right, but you'd be surprised that a lot of industries, a lot of people, whatever industry, there's not a lot of people that do good business. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of dirtbags.
And that's what I call the brackish water of this industry right now. There's a mixing of the tides between suits and gangsters.
You know what? But I will say this: the suits are the suits, and that is what it is. But I will say they have been doing better this last not even year, 6 months,
Totally.
opening up and saying, okay, we get it, we can't just put something in a cool package. Hey, like MedMen.
Right.
MedMen's perfect example. I think since the
Struggling a
demise
lot
of
right
MedMen, people have opened their eyes and been like, oh yeah, okay, so that doesn't.
It's not just about
work.
money and
Yeah.
pretty packaging.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, we better. So they have hired proper purchasing managers that
Right.
do say, nah, man, like, although this packaging might not be on the same level as this other thing, the quality of the cannabis is, levels and levels above.
Right,
what it
and
is.
as
Yeah.
we're starting to see in more of these market share reports, is phenotypes matter almost more than anything else in terms of sales. We're starting to see that sales are really directly reflected from what phenotypes you're running. And, what is the, like you talked about earlier, runts, the particular phenotype of Skittles Gelato that
Runts, baby.
Burner has chose to exhibit is much more important than the strain itself, because other people are running Gelato by Skittles right now, and it doesn't carry the same weight as Runts does.
Oh my God! But they're all calling it runts,
Exactly.
aren't they?
And
Aren't they? But what that does is that right there, that makes the original runts, the guys who are
absolutely
that
much
makes
more valuable.
That brings their brand through the roof, and it's because everybody else was saying, Skittles
within
by
a matter
Gelato.
of 2 weeks, one of the most common phrases that you'll hear in the seed industry right now is "runs your life up."
Oh, dude,
And just in a matter of 2 weeks, it's taken everyone by storm.
Oh, in the last week, I've had about 400 people email me or call me like, "You got those runts?" And it's like, it doesn't work like that, homie. Like, people need to grow them and select them and test them. Like, no, I wish, but no, you know.
With that said, how do you feel about runts? Are you high on it, low on it? Have you smoked it yourself?
I've had it. I think it's great. I don't see. I mean, it's great.
You don't see the hype. I don't either.
I don't see the hype. I mean, I
don't
think
either.
I think it's like I think it's definitely high end shit. I think it's you know what I mean in the really really high end percentile. I don't see it like overtaking some of the main. I think in a year, I think it's a flash in the pan. Personally, I could be wrong. I often am.
I could see that.
But I could see it. I could see it being on menus for the next 3-4 years. I don't see it staying on the menu like being like a like for example, I think you'll see wedding cake in 5 years, no matter what, no matter where you go, because I don't know. If
Speaking of which, so you like wedding cake? So give me your 5 favorite phenos
of wedding cake.
Or just generally. Doesn't matter, breeder regardless. Give me 5 phenos that you've really liked this year that you've seen.
Purple Punch is like
Fuck you. This guy's not even allowed on here anymore.
You're fired. You quit. Get off my podcast. No, man,
it's not even my podcast. It's yours.
Oh, yeah. No, you know what, dude? It's really hard to say that, man, because I get a lot of good herb, from all the breeders. They send it to us, and
yeah, we are very fortunate.
Yeah, dude. And then like you're always doing, you work with so many different pheno hunters, and then so it's like you get like, oh, here's like 15 things to try, and then it's like I'll go see like some of these breeders directly, and it's like, oh, here's 15 things to try, try out what you.
Trust me, at the house right now, I have 118 different samples to go through.
Yeah,
it
like
is...
my weed, my jar is never empty. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so it's hard. I'll say this: I'm actually making fun of Purple Punch, but there's some really fire ass, leaners of Slurricane. Of course, Archive will say that's all because of him, and House will say it's all because of him. And then, I don't know.
Yeah. So
right now, I'll tell you what. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of ridiculous phenos of Sherb Crasher right now.
Yeah, I just showed you one today.
You just showed one today, yeah. I would say Sherb Crasher right now, and GMO is my 2 probably favorite strains right now. But that could change at any time because I'm just surrounded by so much good herb, dude.
Totally.
So it's like, but right now, if I was on some desert island shit, those 2 would be coming with me. You know? But again, like, maybe 6 months ago, I remember seeing Beezy and he shot me tons of Cushman's crosses and they were out of control. I ran into Your Highness. Control. Bro, Your Highness shot me some lemon meringue mints that was super next level, you know what I mean? So again, it's like it changes. I guess it changes.
Yeah,
like so often.
I try to stay.
But we're lucky.
So a lot of like, as we've talked about in the industry, is hype driven, like runs. So I try to stay with my top 5s to be pretty stable for an extended period of time. I know my number 1 recently has been the garlic cocktail from Uprising. The Orange Chem was overloaded. That was definitely, if not my top strain of the year, it's definitely the closest to the water and oil of orange and gas that people haven't been able to find.
That's that new run he's doing.
Yes.
And he's one of those breeders.
He's quiet, but
gets overlooked, man.
Absolutely.
He does, and his shit is on point. And he's a hell of a good grower.
Oh, A+ in the living soil.
Bro, no till all the way, dude. Completely.
It tastes as good as it gets.
Doesn't care. Yeah.
My number 2 is Donkey Butter from Exotic Mike.
It's easy to
It's
see.
a triple OG pheno, or triple OG leaner. It's won, I think, 3 cups now. 805 has fire. All the credit to him for finding that pheno and so many other great phenos that he's been able to bless a lot of the industry leaders with for all of us to use. So big shout out to 805 as Fire for finding that one, and just like a sour OG, but with the new school frost. Number 3, anybody who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Grandy Flores Pineapple Pez. If you haven't tried it, you have to try it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of my, like as we say with these top 10 menus, like people get left out, and it's not like it's no disrespect to number 6.
Right.
It's just that the top 5 were insane.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, if he's your 6th best player of all time, it's no disrespect to Kobe Bryant. There's just 5 better guys. And so, I have Cushman's Animal Face from Seed Junkie as my number 4, but that is quickly turning up in my rankings, and same with the Sunset Octane number 5.
Bro, he gave me his original, like
the Animal Face people sleep on way too much.
Dude, no, he redid his original Animal Mints. He went and hunted it just for the hell of it. And
I got some of those phenos.
Bro.
Or, just a singular pheno.
That little dude, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, think about this. It's 2000, like what, 5, 2006, and that dude brings that to the table.
Yeah.
I mean, back then, OG was everything, it still is, but I mean, like, man, you showing up to that.
Oh, I got
paid.
the 2013 F2s that he made, a pheno of that, and it was just pretty amazing for me to look at and think about what, was widely available in 2013 versus if that was, and it was available at that point, but definitely not widely available.
Yeah, but he wasn't who he was then. He didn't have
absolutely
2,000 lights to work with. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
At that time. So it's like it was available probably to a very select few and very select few clubs and things like that. And I'm sure it sold out immediately because it would sell out now immediately.
Yes.
And back then, it wasn't like it is now. There wasn't like these super rock stars always doing like this crazy stuff. So that would have
totally. And
still fire, dude.
The
it's
exotic
like, still
movement
fire.
has just like we were talking about earlier. What's really fueled yours and mine industry is the exotic movement, which really started in 2013, 2012, 2013, and the quest for constantly new cannabis with social media just became a rat race among consumers. I mean, if you walk to a line in Jungle Boys to try to smoke a new phenotype in 2014, good luck, you'd be in line for 6, maybe 8 hours.
Yep.
It was crazy. It was crazy. And now that exotics are becoming more available for everyone, we're seeing a better distribution, one, of the customer. And 2, part of the reason we're seeing better distribution of the customer is access. Part number 2 is access to seeds.
Yeah.
The yous and the me's out there, making sure that all these pheno hunters are equipped with the latest gear.
Right. Yeah. Once I would say once seed banks started popping up in the USA, it changed a lot of things fast because now people from Michigan who wanted something that a guy in LA had, there was now a direct link, not having to like wait from the guy to LA to sell it to some random seed bank in Europe, and then it cut out a lot of bullshit, and I think it really has helped. And I think that's why a lot of people on the East Coast and in the middle of the country are smoking a lot of really flame right now because the guys from Oregon, Washington,
just
California,
the access has increased.
Has really been like, you can buy it.
Yeah, and I mean, just with the amount of pheno hunting that's accepted now.
Well,
I mean, they're just. I mean, up until a couple of years ago, there were never 100-seed hunts of single strains.
No, and I think that now a lot of it has changed in the quote unquote corporate side of things, where it's just becoming an expected thing. Like, you need to continue to be buying new phenos. You need to continue to buy new things because social media has made these breeders rock stars, and the customer is going to walk in and say, "Where's the runts? I heard about runts. Where's the runts? I want to see the runts. Where is it?"
There's definitely an element to be said that the strain gets noted first, then the cultivator, then the breeder.
Right. Exactly.
It's kind of reverse engineered demand to the breeder because, a couple years ago, let's just use wedding cake as an example. Everyone from West Coast to East Coast, I could land at a family event in Pennsylvania, and people knew what wedding cake was. But
Right.
then you bring up Jungle Boys, and people go, then the amount of people who knew wedding cake would be split. And then if you brought up Sea Junkie, the people who would know Sea Junkie were even fewer than the people who knew Jungle Boys.
Yeah.
And
Or they always thought everyone thought Jungle Boys bred it. Or that Sea Junkie
exactly.
worked for. Oh, isn't that their breeder?
Some variety of the combo.
And you see that a lot, actually. You see,
Absolutely,
you see
it's
that?
the main trend.
Well, and then you also see like a lot of strains that people are getting credit for that didn't breed it. Purple Punch actually is a good one. People think Symbiotic bred that. Symbiotic did not breed Purple Punch.
Absolutely.
Purple Punch was bred by Supernova.
Yep.
They just bred with it. You know what I mean? So it's a lot. I mean, to this day, I'm correcting customers all the time. Like, no, Symbiotic did not, do that. Like,
Right.
Because, but that's just how it is.
Right. There's no. I tell a big part of when we're driving the West Coast Connoisseur consultation business, and for these big big facilities, there's no database they can go to and say,
no,
hey, does this run well in this environment, or does that run well in that
Right.
environment? Does this
Right.
run there? Does that run there? And that's why they can come to us, you, me, or some combination of these people.
Yeah.
And
No, only us. There is no one else.
and we can provide you the right answer. And that's like a lot of what our service does right now, because just perfect example, I'm not going to use the facility's name, but we were
Contracts have not been signed, sir. Do not use their name.
and not use the facility's name, but they wanted to run a lot of GMO, which is what's all the rage right now.
Take too long. Can't
And it's not even that it takes too long, is that they run it under Gavitas with a 15-foot ceiling, and it's just going to be way too intense for GMO, the light intensity. You see some of these facilities that are rocking huge GMO spears, if they're running Gavitas, they're way far away, or, the light intensity, if they're close, they're using LEDs. And just, there's no database you can go to be like, how does GMO run under metal high lifes, or how does GMO run in living soil compared to hydro?
So that's what you're going to be doing, is saying, hey, the GMO should be ran under this
Right.
LEC from this company, or this is how we did it, and this is the results.
Exactly,
This is the
and
nutrient
we've got
measurement we
different
used.
people running different
Right.
combinations in different environments all the time. So, like, right now, the strain that I could tell you is, like, really being ironed out and tested is the Piho 3. We've now run her in Gavita, LEC, and LED, all with one in living soil, one in rock wool, one in cocoa.
How did
and
LEC do?
Really pretty relative to LED.
Okay.
But in my honest opinion, the most unique thing to come out of this, we just finished with Piho and Papaya Punch doing this. The taste in
Papaya
all
Punch.
three was so different.
Really?
And so that's why stuff that I'll give a little, like, I like to tell people, game is told, not sold.
That's
And
an old Master P.
yeah,
That's an old Master
it's an
P.
old Master P. And
Yeah.
my favorite piece of game to give people is, especially what we're experiencing the papayas. If you run anything with papaya lineage in soil, it ends up relatively cheesy most of the time. If you run papaya in cocoa or hydro setups, you get much more of that thick, intense papaya nose. And I think a lot of that has to do with the microbials in living soil. Because the living soil consistently tasted different than the other two. Versus the Piho, the other way around, tasted much better in living soil than the other two. So if you went to West Coast Connoisseurs, you could say, hey, I want to grow Piho. And now we're going to be able to tell you the perfect setup in which to grow your beds of pine.
Right. If you want to do pie-ho, fantastic, but you need to do living soil. So if you're primarily the facility that's going to be running, rock wool, whatever, then pie-ho might not be your game.
Absolutely.
You maybe run this one. But it's nice having, somebody like you around to be able to do that. Because
Absolutely,
a lot of these guys,
and that's what we're trying to serve. Is there's no database for this stuff.
Well, you see a lot of these guys, like I'll use Oklahoma for an example, just in general. The state is going wild right now. Everyone's trying to do a facility, blah, blah. I mean, you have these guys that are doing things, and it's like, oh, shit, you don't know what the fuck you're doing, do you?
Oh, my gosh.
Be like, I'm just going to run an open, I got 500 lights, and it's like, have you broke that into sub-rooms? Like, no. Like, well, you're going to have a nightmare controlling your temperature, and you're going to
or
have these hot
anything,
spots
controlling
and-
anything.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we'll be fine. Like, no. I'm telling you, no. You're gonna, you know what I mean? Like, so it's nice having someone like you out there who's able to, like, hey, man.
And it's not even always that I'll have the right answer, as much as that we can also go in and, we've got the right network of people who,
Right.
even if I haven't seen something or someone who's part of West Coast Connoisseurs hasn't seen something, we have the tools to get the right answer. And that's something that I really pride myself in, is I'm never just going to stick an answer on you. I'm going to get you the right answer.
So what do you think then moving forward is going to be the best, like, upcoming strains? Like that, we're going to have to see.
Man.
And again, I think, that's actually going to be too hard to answer, really, because it's all really regionally specific.
Yes, and obviously regions matter a lot. And more than you could ever anticipate how much these Appalachia environments matter.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like donkey butter in Los Angeles, like, I can't keep it on the shelf. It's just not possible.
Right.
Versus you talk to someone in Michigan and it's played out up there.
Right.
And, like, same thing with GMO. GMO, out here you get massive tickets for it. It's still grinding, but the supply is so oversupplied in Michigan that it just demands a lower ticket, even with it in the lineage anywhere. So the way I tell people to, anticipate your markets, for us, it's a little different. There's a lot of people who I would say are out there chasing, and we're out there trying to set.
Now, do you think that a lot of these corporate guys then who are really, the money behind a lot of these facilities, do you think that they're going to be trying to do something somewhat appealing to everybody? Like, when you go to a restaurant, and a lot of times restaurants are just bland.
Yeah.
The food is bland because it's not spicy, it's not salty, it's got no kick. It's because the people in charge of the restaurant are just trying to appeal to everybody. You think that they're going to be doing that in the cannabis industry? I think that they will.
I definitely think there's going to be an element of that for sure.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the biggest thing is it's going to take time with the maturation of the industry. And at the end of the day, like, what we're starting to see is, I could have these numbers wrong, so don't quote me on them, but Washington, I think they said they've seized 60% of the total cannabis sales in the state, but they've only been able to, collect about 25% of the total revenue that's being spent. So you say, how do those numbers add up? And you say it's because the 40% of people they haven't been able to corral in the stores spend 80% of the money.
Oh, I see.
And so I fear California is going to enter a very similar, and this is a progressed market, right? Washington is not 1 year into legalization at this point. It's 5 years in.
Yeah.
And I fear you're going to see an even bigger level of backlash in California.
Yeah, you're 1,000% correct about that, because California, everyone knows a guy who grows good weed.
Absolutely.
It's kind of a rite of passage in California. Marijuana has always kind of been our thing. Even in even in the bad old days where it was super, super, super illegal, I mean, you're getting $100 ticket. You know what I'm saying? Like, throw your weed out. Here's your ticket. Fuck off.
Right.
You know, where other states are really doing bad. And you know what? Let's not forget why is the black market thriving in all these states?
Because the taxes are so high.
Ridiculous.
Yes.
You know what? The taxes
And
are so. Come on,
it's
man.
when the taxes are high, and like what we talked about earlier is that these market share studies are starting to show that, you know, Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg aren't very good at selling weed. What the quality in the jar is actually turns way more customers through your front door
Right.
than anybody on the packaging.
Yeah.
In a mature market, you know, I know you and I talk about this analogy all the time, but if a NASCAR driver steps out of the car or Matthew McConaughey shows up on your TV in a Lincoln commercial, the first thing almost everybody says to you when Matthew McConaughey pops up on your screen is, he doesn't drive a Lincoln.
I drove a Lincoln.
Yeah, well,
I only back in the day when I was a super badass pot dealer, like in the 90s, I drove Lincolns.
yeah, but so, I mean, there's the question. When a NASCAR driver jumps out of the front seat of his car, do you think he's eating Wonder Bread?
Of course not.
Of course not. Do you think he's slamming a Gatorade? No. Do you think he's drinking Busch Light? He's probably going home and drinking water.
Yeah.
But we all know this at this point.
Sure.
So we don't rely on Dale and Wonder Bread doesn't rely on Dale Earnhardt to sell Wonder Bread.
Sure.
So I think we're going to reach a point where, you know, these big money start to understand that the value is in what's in the jar at the end. And it's a little bit different than these other commodities, and every commodity is different, and so that's important to understand at the end of the day. Is it's not going to be treated just like wheat because wheat isn't vertically integrated.
And weed is something that people are very into. People that are into it.
There's way
into
more
it.
culture to it. Exactly.
Yeah,
Like if you run into someone like me, like I mean, if you open up my phone, there's 3,000 different photos of cannabis, and I can virtually tell you the difference just from sight on every single one.
Well, also, I would say this, like, just in terms of an entire industry, I think the cannabis industry in a whole, for lack of a better word, is budding. And I mean that...
Ooh, I like what you did there.
Oh, you see how I did that? No, I would say just because also, you're going to have massive cannabis brands. I could sell 4,000 Sea Junkie hats and shirts tomorrow. The man won't let me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I could tomorrow. You're not selling that many shirts, like alcohol shirts. You know,
No.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Maybe like
Maybe Budweiser or Corona. Or
Yeah,
something, but a
but
lot of it's Walmart tea and
right,
stuff like that.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And like now, imagine as a guy like Sea Junkie becomes more mainstream, and a lot of middle America finds out who he is, and a lot of as marijuana becomes more, accepted throughout the country, a guy like that, yeah, we'll be in shirts in Walmart probably. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no,
And,
there's definitely an element of that.
And cannabis, I mean, I remember Loompa Farms of all things was making like shorts and T-shirts. I think they still do, and I think that's the large part of their revenue comes from apparel. And
Yeah, I've seen multiple people who haven't been able to get licenses, which is a whole different story that we could wander down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, get me
And
going.
people who haven't been able to get licenses who had these huge equitable brands a la Blackleaf have started clothing lines successfully because they haven't been able to get licenses, and these people are entrepreneurs and they're innovators and they're smart pick-it-up people, and they realize that their brand has equity, and
Sure.
so with these consumers, and so it's time to start making apparel.
Well, I think also a lot more than any other industry, cannabis people do support each other in a big way.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like cannabis people, not only are the t-shirts cool and designer cool, but people will support you because I guess maybe there's like this brother in arms feeling. I don't know, but people will support each other. If you're a good dude, here's a great example: Straight Organics. You know what I'm saying? Name one person that has anything bad to say about them. Oh, actually, no. That one dude has something bad.
Oh
to say
yeah,
about
there's
them.
definitely some bad things
yeah.
out there about them. They weren't exactly the best example.
Yeah, that's a
But
bad
here,
example for this.
I know what you're going for here.
Yeah.
And
Beard Brothers.
I was gonna say
Beard
exactly.
Brothers.
A really
Say
good example
anything.
would be Beard Brothers.
Say anything bad about Beard Brothers. You know what I mean?
You can't find it.
You really can't. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, me included, get their cannabis news from Beard Brothers.
Yep.
And in fact, I donate $100 a month to their Patreon just to keep it rolling. And
Yeah.
you guys should too. You know, because they do a lot of work that I'm not willing to do, you know, towards it. So good on them, man. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't have said straight organic. I like them. I think they're great.
I mean, yes, and they do the whole lead by example thing.
Sure.
And I think we're, you know, ultimately what it all comes down to, what we're talking about is all these brands, right? And all these brands, why did these brands get to be so big and so equitable among Southern California consumers as unique phenotypes? Why is Straight Organics big? Papaya. Why is Jungle Boys big? Wedding cake. Why is Cookies big? Cookies and gelato. You know?
Yeah.
It ultimately comes back to what was in the bag at some point. All these brands came off of what was in the bag. Let's go the other way. Caliva. You know, nobody knows who Caliva is right now other than MedMen. These guys, they think they're the first consumer to the block, but they're not.
Yeah.
They're actually one of the last consumers to the block. And so what we're seeing here is a unique shift in these markets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be really interesting to see the way it develops, because a lot of people believe that brands matter. And, you know, as we're seeing a lot of celebrities on these brands and on this packaging, and ultimately what the customers are telling us and how the brands were developed in 64 was what is in the jar or what is on the slab matters way more than the branding.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. We have a brand. I didn't even know that we had a brand.
Right.
Until somebody told me it was worth something. I was like, I have a brand?
Right.
Yeah,
And
I just want to sell seeds.
Right, and so at the end of the day, you know, all these people want to sell brands because that's their exit strategy, is to sell a brand. But what has made these brands so equitable is valuable and unique phenotypes.
Well, doing your job well, I think.
Absolutely,
you know what I
on
mean,
top of that,
is
and
what-
doing
is
good
what
quality.
comes- yeah, I mean, yeah, finding the good quality, being passionate, you know, like the money will come. Do
Absolutely,
the right thing
because
100,000 times and the money will
I
come.
tell people too, when you start going over the cost of R&D rooms with some of these people who haven't been in the space, they literally look at you like you're a cyborg.
Like you got 9 heads.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're gonna go in here wasting 100,000. Like, yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah, like
For sure,
like
easily.
not. I mean, like if you just start costing it like this, like your clone starts, if you clone start yourself, are $3 a piece, maybe $4 a piece. But if you start a room from Pheno Hunt, it's $15 a piece just on your starts.
Yeah.
Every seed, you know, 10 seeds, you know, $150 a pack. It's already $12 more a plant. You have to individually take more time, more attention. You know, if there's a male, it could seed the whole room and ruin the whole process if you don't catch it.
But when you find that one,
Any Hermie, yeah, and it's right. Like
But when
you
you
and I
find that
understand
one,
it. It's
that-
all
and
about
that's all
finding
that
that
matters.
that one.
that's all. That's what I'm saying. You find
But-
that one.
But we also know we've gone through full 40 light R&D rooms and not found that one. They're
Sure.
not willing to look at a 40 light room and say $800 a light, $15 a seed, nutrients, labor, time. It's a big pit if you don't find something that you're going to work with.
Yeah.
And so that's why.
that's just it. Yeah. Like, but you know, like when you get it, when you hit it, it's like you
right.
hit
It's
it.
when exactly, because if you're in this facility and let's just say you're growing, you know, sour best shit ever, and you're
Very good
getting,
strain.
it's a really good strain, and I see Route 6.4 and a bunch of Southern California locals talk about it,
Mhm.
and you know, say sour best shit ever is getting you $2,400 or $2,500 a pound. But your ticket's not really evolving with it. You've had 3-4 months to sell it. It's not increasing. In fact, it stayed flat level.
Right.
But by finding, you know, the new Cushman's Animal Face or whatever, all of a sudden, for the same cost, you're getting $2,800 a pound instead of $24. And just say in a 20 light room, the $400 difference, one light makes up the one turn makes up the difference.
Well, I got a perfect example. The Cushmans, the Rabbit
Absolutely.
Hippie versus the Rabbit Hippie cut. That's quite the buzzword right now.
Yeah.
But, you know, phone won't stop ringing.
Yeah. It's,
Oh well. No, I would say that the Rabbit Hippie Cushman's thing is a big thing because, you know, well, I mean, if anybody should know that thing, look it up. But people say that his Cushman's is the best Cushman's ever.
oh, yeah. I mean, without going too deep into the politics.
The politics of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's really interesting, and it comes back to the notoriety level of strain, then grower, then breeder, because Rabid Hippie was the cultivator and Seed Junkie was the breeder,
Yeah.
and a lot of people have started to recognize Rabid Hippie for the cut before Seed Junkie,
Right.
when it's realistically who should be given the credit is the breeder at the end of the day.
The breeder should be given the credit. Rabbit Hippie, to get political now, what he should have done was not bred with that.
Yes.
At the end of the day, that look. There's two sides of hey man, it was yours, blah blah blah. I purchased it. It belongs to me. Rabbit Hippie didn't purchase that. Those were freebies that BC gave him to test. So like Rabbit, as far as I'm concerned, Rabbit Hippie doesn't have a leg to stand on. With that. However, whatever, he found amazing pheno and he sold clones everywhere for top dollar and good for him and whatever.
And that's
you know.
what, ultimately what we keep talking about is why phenotypes matter.
Sure.
Because
there you go. Rabbit Hippie could have ran through 4,000 lights, but he found that Cushman's, and that Cushman's made him a very wealthy man.
Absolutely.
Cushman's.
Exactly. And on top of that, it wasn't Rabbit Hippie who hyped up Cushman's. It was Cushman's who hyped herself up in the jar.
Yeah, exactly. For just being fire.
Right.
And it still is absolutely fire.
Oh, I got a fresh batch of it from Canopy.
That's another one. That's about, again, coming back to breeders because BZ worked that fucking line.
Absolutely.
He worked that line. He did his job. He worked that line, and he continues to work that line. I mean, we just released F2s. That man doesn't release F2s unless he has F4s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, good, but Cushman's is ridiculously fire. You know what else that was getting a lot of shit that now people will do anything for Sea Junkies was the Gelato 33.
Yeah, Gelato 33 recently has made kind of a comeback in terms of acceptance, in terms of the look of what Gelato 33 looks like. There was a phase where people didn't want these super dark purple cookie notes, and
Yeah.
it's kind of come back recently.
Yeah,
At least
true.
that I've seen. And obviously anybody who's listening to this, every market is different. My personal preferences are different than your preferences. I love citrus, I love orange, I love gas. I love the mix of lemon gas. I love orange chems, which is why if you heard my list of 5 favorite phenos I've seen this year, they're all pretty flavorful things. We had garlic cocktail, which is an orange cross, sour OG and donkey butter, pineapple Pez, very fruity. I really struggled between cherry Cushman's and animal face Cushman's, and sunset octane. All of them are very flavorful.
Sunset Octane is popping.
Oh, yeah. You really like that Sunset Octane
Yeah, Sunset
pheno.
Octane is popping, man. I really like that.
A lot of people are really liking that pheno. She's really surged
Yeah.
really quickly. But this is the point of, that Sunset Octane 5 is probably more valuable than just the average Sunset Octane. So if you want to come to, the guys who know what they're talking about, that's us. And we're... I tell people we're trying to put people in the right position.
Well, you've also already done all the pheno hunting for these people.
Exactly.
You do the pheno hunting for everybody, and that way you take a lot of those. So hey, Mr. Corporate Guy, you want to save, $90,000 on your R&D room. Here, we did it for you.
Exactly.
But
And that's like what the big premise of West Coast Connoisseurs is these guys don't really own their genetics. We're giving the it's more like a lease,
yeah,
and we're providing them the opportunity to turn their R&D rooms into profit centers. And on top of the valuable insight we can provide into one from building out your grow room to what strains you can run into, anything you could want to know from living soil to hydro to cocoa, we're going to be there to help you improve because that's what helps us improve too.
sure. Bottom line is the fact that if they're not successful, you're not going to be successful, and they're not going to want to
Exactly.
continue to do business with you. So it's in your best interest to keep your pheno hunters hunting,
Right.
and
And that's why anybody who knows me, I mean, you know me pretty well, knows I work with an exhaustive amounts of cultivators to make sure that
But all good cultivators, the cultivators
Absolutely.
you work are at the top of the game.
absolutely. But I mean, anybody who knows me knows that sometimes in a span of 1 or 2 days, I can be in 20 or 30 rooms, and it's like I tell people, it's all about exposure, and so making sure that West Coast Connoisseurs has the best and most valuable phenotypes is, kind of the crux of what I try to do, and make sure that by having these elite phenotypes, it benefits your business. Like we said, these brands are what's going to sell at the end of the day. So if we can elevate your brand by having a unique phenotype, like as we just discussed, Runts came before, Wedding Cake came before Sea Junkie. Right now, Cushman's was known, then track to Rabbit Hippie, and then back to Sea Junkie, right?
Yeah.
So we constantly see the same pattern. So what West Coast Connoisseurs tries to do is stay on the front end of that pattern.
Now, how do you deal with breeders?
That's
'Cause
so.
You're using Cushman's. Yes,
So I tell
yeah.
people the biggest thing to do is, especially while in my line in particular, it's all just follow the rules and respect, because there's no cut where you're going to make a single deal on it that it's going to outvalue the totality of a breeder.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
and just for example, just say we didn't piece in-house in on an agreement or whatever. The $500 or $600 on that light that in-house isn't getting is not worth the totality of not having new genetics from in-house.
Yeah, that's not right, dude.
And
that's I think that's
It's just super short-sighted.
yeah, and I think it's a really I think it comes back to that, circling back to that, the cannabis community is really like good with each at certain levels.
Yeah,
certain people in the cannabis community are good. Other people will stab you in the back in a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
But like being able to especially if you want to deal with breeders like I have to all the time and stuff like that.
It's a respect thing.
Yeah, you better show them ultimate respect, and because they do a lot, and a lot of times they risk a lot of their freedom doing what they do.
Not
'Cause
only
a lot
do
of these
they
guys do black stuff, you know what I mean? They
Yeah,
shouldn't be.
not only do they risk a lot, but I also look at it in terms of this. It's a privilege to work with them.
Yeah.
It is, and there's a lot of people who I know don't look at it like that. I look at it as it's a privilege to work with these pheno hunters. And someone could say, "Hey, I worked really hard. It's not a privilege. I did all this." But I look at it like they don't need anyone to tell them. They're like artists. They're like athlete artists. They don't want to be told creative direction.
Right.
You're there to work with them. You're there to support them. And for me, I mean, I know my big life motive is, especially when I look at all these big VCs and LPs coming down the line, and for lack of a better term, a cannabis endgame, I want to get all the guys who paved the way for me paid. And
Sure.
that's the best way I see to do it, is through these licensing agreements. And I see it as without them, there'd be no me. So it's just an issue of respecting their wishes and building something where, we can build a long-term legacy for these breeders who pave the way so that, when we see commercials right now about Johnny Walker or Jack Daniels, that those commercials are about the Onis, the Seed Junkies, and those guys. That's what's really important to me.
Sure. The exotic mics.
Yes, exactly. All of them, and
Hey, how
everybody
good is that
has
strawberry and cream.
Oh my Lord! Don't even get me started
Dude,
on
that
strawberry and
is
cream.
popping.
Oh my Lord!
Strawberry and cream
Yeah,
is popping.
that's gonna be cracking a lot of lists
oh
next
my
year.
God, yeah.
If you listen to this and you haven't smelled it yet, go find a jar.
Remember when we first found that? We were like in like a restaurant parking lot.
Oh yeah.
We, like,
I got
smoking
it.
joint at it or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
Shit was ridiculous.
Our little friend sent us some of those strawberries and creams to sample.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big ups.
Big ups to the Beam.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know who you are.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that was... Man, I get more.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most unreal profile I've seen in cannabis.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
It's something that'll truly knock over exotic markets.
That... I could see that being like...
A new wave in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for like markets like... I think East Coast markets would eat that shit up, dude, because they're so...
Any market who liked mimosa will like strawberries
and
cream.
there you go. That East Coast market is about the mimosa, dude. That, like they like those orange terps.
I know I'm going to be smoking a lot of strawberries and
Yeah,
cream.
Donkey butter's also popping. Again, but it comes down to the fact that the breeder does his job. Mike does his job.
Mike does his job, and on top of that, it's about, like we've talked about, it's strawberries and cream. The name's great, right? Oh, strawberries and cream. I wonder what it smells like. If it smelled 50% of the way to what it did, or even 75%, we probably would have opened that bag and said, it's okay.
It's fine.
Right, it's fine.
Yeah.
But because of how much what was in the bag popped at us,
Mm-hmm.
I remember everybody in that parking lot that day was like, what
Like,
the
what the
hell
fuck
is
is this?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus,
yeah.
roll that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude. That was...
It just comes down, I tell ultimately, everybody wants to care about brands, but this is why pheno hunts are so valuable and why, I love it so much is what's in the jar matters. No, look at all these celebrities. I know I've hit this point 3 or 4 times, but none of them have eclipsed 1% market share.
No, well, they're just marketing their name, and people are onto that. Like, bitch, Wiz Khalifa ain't growing Wiz Khalifa.
Exactly.
Kush. Come on, bro. Tommy Chong ain't growing.
No
fucking,
Tommy Chong Kush.
Come on, bro. He
Yep.
ain't growing that shit. He licensed his name.
They try the brand once. It's either good or not good. If it's not good, they never come back in the first place.
Yeah,
if it's good, they
you.
come back a second time. Third time, they're chucked out.
Perfect example. Ignite.
Oh yeah, I actually have been looking for a store to try to find some.
Right. Exactly, because Dan Bilzerian sold his whole "I'm the coolest guy in the world," blah blah blah. People tried it and said, "Oh wow, this is absolute garbage." Yeah, I'm not trying that again. Like,
right. And like we say, if you're not these price discriminant buyers, if you're not trying to buy $10 grams, out the door, what's in the jar matters.
well, yeah, that's the thing is, I think a lot of people say, okay, well, Dan Bilzerian is cool on Instagram. I want to be a cool guy too, and I want to be the guy that has Ignite. But then it's like, I don't know. Someone like you and I walk into the room and be like, oh yeah, no, our weed is just better.
Oh
the
yeah,
weed I have in my ashtray that I forgot about 3 weeks ago is 1,000 times better than that hot dog water you currently have.
Yeah, no, it's very fascinating because there are going to be people who are attached to brands long term, but just like we see in Washington where they've corralled 60% of the consumers, but only 80 or 20% of the what they believe to be money spent on cannabis. I think those numbers that you see in California are going to be exponential of what you see in Washington.
Sure.
And it's going to take a serious change to flop. It's literally going to take a regulation change.
It's going to take right now. I think all the states it's a money grab. It's an absolute
sure.
1,000% money grab, and I think it's going to stay a money grab until it's federally legalized and they actually make actual rules. And federal legalization might make it even worse because now the federal government's going to want to get their money grab. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
You know, be careful what you wish for because now all of a sudden people are mad about a $60 eighth now. Phew, what you're paying the federal government, that $60 is just what $85 eighths.
Oh, yeah, and if you've ever been to Long Beach, they have the highest taxes in the state.
And highest taxes in the state, yeah.
And I think an eighth in Long Beach is $85.
It's $85, and the customer base in Long Beach does not support $85. It's
No.
It's not a wealthy, don't think the word beach means there's wealthy people living there. That
Right.
is not a wealthy place. It's just not. And there's a lot of people.
There's
just trying
nice
to get by.
areas
It's
to
a
it,
great
don't get me
area.
wrong.
It's a
Yeah.
great area. I love Long Beach. I mean, that's been my home for years. It's fantastic.
$85 an eighth is a lot.
$85 an eighth is you'll never get me in a store. You'll never get me in the store to pay $85 an eighth. Ever.
And that's where a lot of the state's numbers were basing it off consumers like you and I who have, for lack of a better term, disappeared from the market. But it's not that we've actually disappeared from the cannabis market. It's we've disappeared from the medical shops.
Well, the medical shops too. Remember, man, I'll take the Pepsi challenge against any of the best medical weed on the planet versus the weed in my jar. You know, like in terms of being clean, being run well, blah, blah, blah. I think it is, and I know it's better. And I know the guy that I'm buying it from, is... I don't know, man. There's a lot to go in that, like...
Yeah, it's a big unboxing.
It really is, because it's like some people want to, the legal market is just so expensive,
And that's the biggest thing. I tell people
Like, you're not going to spend fucking $80 on a bottle of booze. Nobody's spending $80 on a bottle of booze unless it's like a big... Like, bro, that's the fucking price of Dom Perignon.
Yep.
I'm not once a week buying a bottle of Dom Perignon. I am not doing that, ever.
No.
That's like a once in a year for Christmas type shit. And for like, states and cities to expend the normal, everyday consumer to spend $85 an eighth, they ain't going to do it, bro. They're going to call their homie that still grows really good pot and that is following good practices, and they're going to buy it from him. And they'd rather put the money in that guy's pocket anyways,
right,
than some faceless quote unquote corporation.
Absolutely.
And
if you look at states like Oklahoma who have been able to, lack of a better term, extinguish their black markets relatively quickly, it's because they have a 7.8% tax or whatever.
They have a 7.8% tax, and it's like a $3,000 will get you a license. So it's the cost to entry is not insane. California, they made the cost of entry
so high,
fucking insane. We're going through right now building and building out. Every time I turn around, it's a $50,000 bill we got to pay. That's ridiculous, dude. That's
yeah.
I
mean, California's done a really poor job. I mean, I just was driving through Long Beach on the way here, and you see a bunch of retail shops on these main streets that are anywhere from 300 to 1,200 square feet or something like that, where these could be small micro businesses. Someone could have a 4-light room, someone could be selling seeds out of the front, and the states, like I was in a meeting the other day, and there's obviously this is a whole nother conversation, but the equity and who's getting licenses is totally unfair.
Oh, and bro, don't even...
It's just totally out of whack. I heard someone say the other day, it still really bothers me, is the reason that a lot of African Americans aren't having access to licenses is because they don't have access to privatized capital. And I said, why do they need access to privatized capital to open a dispensary? It shouldn't take access to privatized capital to open a dispensary.
That brings it back to the whole banking situation.
Absolutely.
Like these states say, okay, open this facility, go ahead. We're not going to give you a loan. We're not going to allow any bank to give you a loan. So, you have to have clean money because we want to see where your money came from. Yep. So it better be clean money. And so it's like they make the cost of entry for the like average cannabis grower who may have $4 million buried in his lawn. Like, I can't fuck with that.
Right.
I can't prove this money. I can't show. And so what I mean. Then these guys, they partner with these corporate guys, and they get it's just a whole shit show, dude. Like, we know dozens of people, and I don't want to say their names, but I know dozens of people that like are good dudes that got fucking fucked royally by scummy partners. You
Oh
know,
yeah, the
like,
licensing process has been hard on
yeah,
people.
because they're, hey, look, I got the money, I've got this, I've got that, I got the genetics, blah blah blah. They partner with the corporate guy, and the corporate guy, once they get that, they're out.
Yeah.
You know, so I believe that sound means our time is up for this segment. So.
I'm not coming home today, 'cause I'm in love with Mary Jane. Well, she takes away my pain.